Shopping campaign is one of the easiest campaigns to run on Google Ads, and in just 15 minutes you can create this campaign. One advantage of the shopping campaign is that the cost per click is very low for an intent-based ads. This means that unlike display or video ads, you don't interrupt the user with your ad. Your ad appears when they type something they're looking for, just like a search ads. Before starting your first Google Ads campaign, you require a Google Merchant Center account. You would probably be having it if you're an e-commerce store. In case you don't, you can create one by visiting this site. It is pretty simple and it is completely free. You just have to provide all the details of your business. I'll leave the link for the Google Merchant Center in the description below. So before starting the campaigns, I'll first show you where your ads will be displayed once you publish this campaign. In that case, you'll better understand the ads. So I opened Google and then I typed gold plated jewelry, and then you see here right, sponsored product. So this is where the ads which we are gonna create now and publish now will be displayed. So just to let you know, I'll be starting a campaign for a jewelry brand for women, and after publishing the campaign I'll also show you the data present on the account so you will better understand, and the campaign structure as well. And before starting the campaign, there is one thing to do. So you have to know how much a cost would cost on average in your industry. For that, we'll go to tools and then planning, keyword planner, get search volume and forecast. So I'll type gold plated jewelry because that is what this brand sells, and get started. So I want to do the advertisement in Ireland, so I'll select that and remove this. So we are not able to select the language. In some cases you can select the language. So if you scroll down, you see top of page bid low range and top of page bid high range. So this is basically the lowest bid advertisers are spending for this keyword in this region, and this is the highest bid advertisers are spending. So I normally go with the average of these two, and then depending on the data I either increase or decrease. So for the moment I'll take 50 cents as my bid. So let's go back to the campaign. Now that we have all the data, let's create a new campaign. Click on create campaign, and then here I prefer clicking on create a campaign without guidance, because in this way you will get all the options available. You can also choose this. If you choose this, Google will try to take you in a direction, but I prefer clicking on this because this way you get to see all the options available. I'll click on this. Then ad is shopping ad, so click on this, and then the conversion goals for me is already selected. If it is not the case for you, you would be having a button here called add goals. You can click that and add on purchases. For me it is already selected and I don't see another option here. Don't worry about this. If something else is selected for you and you don't want that, you can also change that later once the campaign is published. So here you would be having your merchant center ID already selected. Make sure if it is the right one or not. That is why I told you before that you have to create an account in Google Merchant Center. So for me this is all good, and this is the correct account. So I'll scroll. So as you see here, even though at the campaign we selected a standard shopping campaign, Google has selected Performance Max campaign because Google is trying to rigorously push Performance Max campaigns, but now we don't need that. So we'll select standard shopping campaign, and then shopping campaign name. So the basic rule is whatever name you keep for the campaign, as soon as you see the name, you all should understand what the campaign is. So in this case, as I'm advertising in Ireland, I'll keep it as Ireland, and then this is a shopping campaign, so I keep it as which is a shortcut for shopping, which I kept. So yeah, Ireland and shopping. So as soon as I see the name, I understand that okay, I'm advertising in Ireland, and then the campaign is shopping campaign. So click on next. So here the average daily budget, of course it depends on your goals, but it is suggested to keep your budget in such a way that you'll get at least 10 clicks per day. Of course more is better, because the more clicks you get per day, the faster you get the data and the faster you can optimize your campaigns. In this case, for this campaign which I'm creating, I'll keep it as 50 euros per day, so which roughly will be like I get 100 clicks per day, which is something I prefer because the faster you get data, the faster you can optimize for it. And then scrolling down, the bidding strategy, I generally start the campaigns with maximize clicks. You can also go with target ROAS, but it is suggested to go with maximize clicks or manual CPC build strategy, because this is like the first time you're creating the campaign, and at the account level you don't have any data about your conversions, and Google do not know anything about which user would convert, so you don't have conversion data. So it is suggested that when you start a campaign, you always start with maximize clicks or manual CPC bidding strategy. So I prefer going with maximize clicks, and then always keep a maximum cost you would spend for a click. If not, Google spends crazily. Anyway, we already saw how much it would cost for a click before in the keyword planner. So I'll keep it as 0. So I'll keep it as 50 cents because that is what I came up with. So now going for customer acquisition, I want to bid the same for all the users. So I leave it as is. And then campaign priority, so you use this when you have like several campaigns advertising the same product. For example, you have like 3 campaigns advertising the same product, and depending on the keyword people type, you want to direct people to a certain campaign. This is called query sculpting, and this is an advanced strategy where you will be using at a later stage of your campaign. For the moment, because we are just starting the campaign, you can leave as is in the low and then click on next. So here enter another locations, and then you can choose the location where you want to advertise. For me it is Ireland. Then in the location options, choose presence always. So if you know what you're doing and you also want to show your ads for people interested in this location, you can go with presence or interest. But me, I only want to advertise for people who are actively living in Ireland, so I'll select presence here. And then at the local products, I don't take this option because my client do not have a local shop. It is completely an e-commerce business. And then in the EU political ads, you can click on no. Then in the more settings, so you can leave this as is, like you don't need an end date. Whenever you want to end an ad for some reason, you can just come to the platform and then pause the ad. Campaign URL option, this is very important one which I see many people neglecting this. So basically you have to paste a small code here. I'll provide you with the code. I'll paste this code in the description so that you can copy and paste it in your campaign. So basically without this code, let's say you have a purchase on your store, and without this code you won't understand how the person came. Like they may be coming through SEO, through Google ads, or any other advertising you would be doing. So with this you will exactly understand that a person came from Google ads. If you see the code, the UTM source says Google, and then the UTM medium says CPC, which means the lead came from Google ads. And then if you scroll a bit more, you get lot more details about the ad, like the device the person used when they did the purchase, the keyword they typed in, so on and so forth. So one main thing is you'll understand through which source the purchase happened or the person came, and also you'll get lot more data. So yeah, this is done. And then in the more settings, the networks, whenever I start an ad campaign, I always prefer keeping this search network off, because at the starting of the campaign I want to keep the options as tight as possible to quickly move my campaign towards success. Adding search network will add lots of volume, but from historically or from my experience, I see that it does not bring qualified volume, or it brings a bit of a spam. So when I start the campaign, I always prefer keeping this off, and later in the future if you want to test, you can. Now we can click on next, and then add group. So here I'll show you a small image I created so you can better understand what ad groups are and campaigns are. So campaign is the one which we are currently creating, which is Ireland shopping. And then you have ad groups. So these 3 are ad groups. So assume these are like folders, like the campaign is like the main folder, and then you have subfolders inside it. So in this case, as I explained already, the campaign is Ireland shopping, and then the ad groups can be like in this case rings, earrings, and necklace. So for the moment I am creating the ad group rings, and then later I'll create the ad groups earrings and necklace as well. So here in the product group section, because we are advertising rings, so you have to select just rings here. So here you can click on use a selection of products. Then in the category, click on product type. So here these are all the product types present on this e-commerce store. I'll select rings and then save. So here the rings is saved. Now click on next. If everything is fine, then you can click on publish campaigns. So here, as soon as you publish the campaign, you see here, so this is one thing you have to disable. So in the product category, we are advertising only rings, right? But then Google also is displaying everything else in all products. So basically Google is showing all other product categories including rings, which is something Google does every time. I don't know why. So you can just exclude this, and now in this ad group you are only advertising rings. So you can click on ad groups, and then as you see, so this is the campaign which we have just created, and then this is the ad group. So now I'll create two other ad groups in this, which is earrings and necklace. So instead of creating two other ad groups, I'll show you a campaign which I've already created and is running. So this is the campaign which is currently running, and you see I have like three ad groups, which is like necklace, earrings, and then rings. So when you click on each ad group, that product group will be present here. And yeah, this is how I structured the ad groups in a campaign. So this is not a hard and fast rule, but then I prefer structuring the ad groups in a campaign based on themes, so that you'll better understand it. And also when you see the data, you will better understand which ad group is performing well and which is not performing well, and depending on that you can take action. So there is one important thing here which I want to show. So at the campaign level, click on campaign settings, and then here in the feed section, if you have like multiple feed, in that case you have to select the feed which is related to the country you're advertising. For me, in this case, I have multiple feeds, and the feed for this country, which is Ireland, is called IE, and that is what I selected here. This is a very important thing. And one other thing with shopping campaigns, you don't need to add which keywords to advertise on. From the Google analyzes what your product is about, and then based on that it shows accordingly to the related search terms. So this is one thing I was confused when I started the shopping campaign, because I was used to running Google search campaigns, and in Google search campaigns you give search keywords for the Google, but in this case you don't. And the other thing, we came up with cost per click of 50 cents, right? How do you know if that is sufficient or not? So for that, if you click on your ad group, it comes to product groups. Here you see a option called benchmark maximum CPC. So if you don't have that, click on columns custom, and then you can add it over here. So this basically shows you the data about how much the competition is bidding and what is your current bid. So if you see here, it is almost twice the maximum bid. I am okay with that because we recently started this campaign and I want to place the bids a bit more until we get enough conversions. That is why we also see that we have a good impression share. So yeah, that is it. In just 10 minutes you published your first shopping campaign. It would take a couple of hours for Google to approve your ads and start running. Once the campaign starts running, have a look at the search terms at least every week, depending on your budget. If this video was helpful, please consider subscribing, as this helps me create content like this for free. And definitely add negative keyword list for your campaign before itself, as it helps you save a lot of money. I have a video talking about 8 things to do before your campaign goes live, so you can run your campaign like an expert from day one and spend your budget wisely. The video will be present here.